Oh, good. I'm not hearing any background noise. And we're off and running. Good afternoon, and welcome back to Netroots Nation Live. This is Kelly, your host, and today I am sitting here and very honored to be sitting here with Colorado State Representative Brianna Titone, who happens to be Colorado's premier transgender representative. And the reason for that is that she won in a conservative district. And Brianna, how did your message resonate to the point where you had people that most likely would never have considered voting for you just because vote for you and put you into office? It's an amazing accomplishment.
Thank you for having me on. Well, I should tell you a little bit about the district first. The district is separate from Denver, and it's historically been pretty conservative. The Democrat had never won the district since they drew it. But what people really wanted was just somebody to listen to them and to be a hard worker that actually did what people wanted to get done. And as a candidate, I had a lot of skills, a lot of education, and a lot of that stuff in conjunction with my background of being a volunteer in my community and having a long service record of working in my community selflessly for the community. And really highlighting that for the people and showing them that, here I am, I'm an educated person whose heart is always in the community, and I want to do the things that you need to get done. And, I mean, why would you ever say no to somebody who really genuinely comes across as wanting to be doing something for the community? I mean, it's like, I felt it was a no-brainer. And a lot of the people, the people that we reached, I mean, we didn't talk to everybody in the district, but we knocked on 50,000 doors, and that message was pretty well received with people that we talked to.
When talking about your volunteerism, what areas were you attracted to give service? Because a lot of people think of volunteerism as only a small thing and not exactly just a feel-good thing, and not something that resonates deeply within somebody.
Well, I started out as a volunteer firefighter when I was 16. So I was a junior firefighter for 2 years before I turned 18. And then I was in the volunteer fire department as a full member of that for 5 years. And I went around, fighting fires and taking people out of cars and, anything that people called upon us to do, we would show up to do. And, I mean, that's really, when people think about a volunteer firefighter or someone in emergency services,
so ultimately,
the word hero comes a bit, they're the selfless people. That's a service job. And to do it voluntarily, to not get paid, is a really a gold star for a lot of people. So it gains a lot of respect in that respect. I also, am my HOA president where I live. A lot of people say that that's like a badge of honor to put up with that kind of stuff because, being an HOA president, you hear from a lot of different, very opinionated people. And on any one day, I have someone saying that the grass is green and the grass is brown at the same time. You get a lot of very conflicting ideas. So being able to talk to people and get them to understand how you want to help people in that way is another thing. I also volunteer with another group called Netroots International, and we're a group of interdisciplinary specialists and scientists, and we help law enforcement. So they call us to find the evidence, the dead body that they can't find, and we bring in a lot of expertise and instrumentation and experience to help them find the evidence that they can help solve the case. I got into that because originally I wanted to be an FBI special agent. And, that's a very service-related field. Helping people, being in the target for bad people that want to shoot me. And that was something that I was willing to do. And because I want to do something more to help people. And that's really shining through with the message that we gave people is all of these things that I set out to do over my life has always been for the greater good. And I come across as a very authentic person. I think just being a trans person is a very authentic way to be because I'm living my authentic life the way I want to live it. And people really got a lot of trust out of that. They felt that I was really going to do that work, and they believed in me.
In your campaign, what were the issues that you focused on? Because there is so much resonance with the volunteerism and the service orientation of your life. What were the issues that you focused on? Because there's obviously some resonance.
Yeah. Well, I mean, on my website, I put a lot of my values front and center. Even when they may not be popular. I said that I was a pro-choice advocate, and I was going to be advocating for that. I said that I was for common sense gun control and gun safety, and a lot of things that could be kind of hit or miss for those middle-of-the-road voters. But what we really focused on were the people that were telling us what they had issues with, and that was education funding, transportation, the cost of health care. These are the things that people were most concerned about. And, I advocated for those things for them in my first session. And we did a lot for education funding. We put some money to transportation. I was on the Health and Insurance Committee. We passed a lot of laws to lower people's health care costs and cost of prescriptions. So I delivered. Another thing was affordable housing. Housing is a really big deal. I had a bill that increased the affordable housing tax credit so we could build more affordable housing.
That's the bread and butter issue.
Yep.
I think you didn't get much because you were advocating for common sense, and in reality, the majority of gun owners are in favor of common sense. We only hear about the nut jobs, the right wing, the people that are the people.
And if you have sponsors, encourage them to support progressive media.
In something like in that, when you were
that's what it's all about. I mean, the thing about it is a lot of
it's also a very important issue, especially considering the
funding right now is going to
mass murder. I'm not going to say mass murder. That occurred in Colorado. Everyone heard. Did you find you had a lot of support on that?
One thing that I had a beneficial thing going on for me was that as someone who wanted to be an FBI special agent, I am not someone who shies away from a firearm.
It's unfair.
And I own some firearms myself, and I'm a concealed carry permit holder. And I would tell people that when they would tell me that guns were an issue for them, and they didn't want me taking away their guns, I was like, just for transparency, I'm a gun owner myself, and I don't want to see that happen either. I think that the Second Amendment is a subject we don't want to really get into, and it's like about responsible gun ownership and doing the right thing and keeping it out of the hands of minors and kids that might hurt themselves or someone who's at risk of hurting themselves or others. That's what we need to do. We need to just do the common sense things. And you want to go shoot and have fun with target practice and all that stuff. I mean, knock stuff out. It's fun. But we need to make sure that we're being responsible with it and not making sure that those weapons get into the hands of the people that are going to hurt somebody or themselves.
Because I'm old enough to remember when the NRA actually advocated responsible gun ownership.
They've changed a lot.
Well, they're now the lobby. They're now as an organization the front for the manufacturers,
right.
Which is why they want unrestricted access. I don't have a problem with people that want to own firearms. I don't own one myself. I live in New York City. But all I care about as an American is that your ownership, your Second Amendment right, does not infringe upon my Fourth Amendment right to be safe and secure in my person. And I think that's part of what the issue is that there is a constitutional conflict with any type of common sense legislation, even as far as background checks. That is, that's Fourth Amendment, the red flag things. That's, some people might see that as, not just a Second Amendment issue, but a Fourth Amendment issue. And I think a lot of that's where a lot of people get messed up. They conflate taking away somebody's weapons if they are threatening suicide with the inability to remain safe in their personal possession. I think that has to be addressed. And to hear you speak, I think that's something you could address as well when you're discussing this. That, there is this balance. And and it goes on to advocating, how affordable housing is a Fourth Amendment issue. There's a lot of things that can be considered Fourth Amendment issues that nobody talks about. And I'm happy to hear you, speak about that, even as a resident of New York State, because I hear in you common sense across the board, which is not just a perk of your background and your service and your orientation towards service, but frankly from your parents brought you up. And that's evident. And when you're speaking about, how are with the affordable housing in Colorado, how is the work that you're doing with the tax credits to increase it? I don't know, has that legislation been signed by the governor, and has it begun to take effect?
Yeah. I had 9 bills that were had my name as primary sponsor that were signed by the governor. That was one of them.
Oh, that's awesome.
And this particular one was a program we had existing already. We had $5 million in tax credits that were available, and we doubled it for the next 3 years. So we're having $10 million, and already, this is a program that was maxed out every year. The developers really like it. They can get these tax credits, they buy and sell them, they do all sorts of fun stuff with it. But it incentivizes them to build it, because they're not going to build affordable housing without this kind of instrument to be able to do it. The program was in high demand, and they ran out of their tax credits every single year. So this really upped it. And I think we probably came to almost 100% increase from what we had previously in the units that they're going to build in communities all around Colorado. So next year they'll be getting more, and then the next year they'll get more. And
it's that it's the results are that you wanted, and are happening.
I mean, these are projects that are going to take some time to build, but we're going to need them. We're going to need to get started with it now. If we see any kind of decline in the economy, these are going to be so key, and they're going to come at the right time. And it's creating jobs too. We're creating jobs with these projects. We're creating all the work that goes into building them and to operating them. So it's a really good economic incentive for Colorado.
That's excellent. What are some of the what are some of the other 8 pieces that you are primary sponsor of and was signed, and how, whether or not you are seeing any positive effect from those pieces of signed legislation?
Yeah, there's a few other things I'll bring up that were kind of personal issues for me that I was passionate about. One was water conservation, and there was a few. We have a lot of homeowners associations. I'm the HOA president of mine, but there's a lot of older associations that are around that have a lot of grass, and some of them have it in the bylaws that it has to be grass. I mean, it's ridiculous, but to change the bylaws of an HOA, it takes like 2/3 of the majority of the people to vote on it. And I mean, if any associations like mine, I could barely get enough people to come to ratify the budget at the end of the year. So there's
you can't even get a quorum?
Barely.
Wow.
We barely get a quorum. We're like usually 1 or 2 people short. So trying to get the bylaws changed to 2/3 of the people to vote on it is virtually impossible. So we made it so that way any common areas in those communities can be changed by the board to make it into a low water use landscape.
Indigenous.
So to xeriscape that area, because Colorado, we have a lot of water issues there. We're at the headwaters of a lot of states and country that rely on us. And if we don't work on water conservation in Colorado, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be really hurting for water downstream, as well as people here in Colorado.
Well, LA needs to work on their issues with sprawl as well. So,
Everybody does.
Yeah.
Get rid of that grass. I mean, put low water stuff in it.
I was grinning because I
pays for
said
itself.
I was grinning because while you were talking about not being unable to get a quorum, I was thinking, oh, get them in. You only need 10 people.
Well, you got to change the rules for that.
You could give it a try.
Well, so another bill that I worked on was on another housing related bill that we had heard that there were a lot of people that were being charged excessive amounts of money for application fees. You know, they're like, oh, well, there's a background check fee and there's an administrative fee and
credit check fee.
There's like all these fees that add up to like $200, and that's unnecessary. You know, if you want to rent somebody's house, you know, an apartment, you want to know, are they at credit risk? Or, you know, what's their background like? And if they have any serious crimes, you don't want to put them in contact with their people in your neighborhood. So we changed the rules to be to lower that, and then give people the ability to sue the landlord for charging them too much. So they have to have an itemized receipt for what they're actually using the money for. So they can't just say, well, this is an administration fee, and it's to process the application. Well, if it's $50, I'm sorry, you're not going to do $50 worth of work. It doesn't take that long to look at an application.
And it doesn't cost that much to process.
Yeah, and people, because housing is such in short supply in Colorado, there's a lot of people scrambling to try to get any apartment that comes up. And they're using that as an income stream by charging multiple people $200, and they're making thousands of dollars on the one apartment that's available because they don't have to just give it to somebody.
It's a landlord market.
It's another revenue stream for landlords to try to make money, and it's like, oh look, I'm sorry, but this is a market where you really have to be sympathetic to the people that really need housing.
But it's also a quasi, to me, a legal way of redlining. Discriminatory prompt, because the people that won't have that extra $200 are more than likely going to be people of color. And you can't say, oh, it's already rented because that's illegal, but you can like charge them an outrageous amount of money. And if they can't afford the credit check, well, oh well.
And another part of this bill was to change the background check for criminal activity in certain types of criminal activity that you may have been involved with, that you served your time for, that you shouldn't be punished for again and again and again. Because when you have someone who's getting out of prison, who has paid their debt to society, if they cannot get housing, they're going to recidivate, and they're going to
and it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you more when they go back to prison because rent. They get everything provided.
There's a lot of reasons why we need to really try to help the people that are trying to better their lives. They made a mistake. They paid their debt, and they want to get back on their feet. And housing is an essential way for people to get back on their feet. If they have good housing, they can get that job. They can get those resources that they need to better themselves. But we have to first give them a place to live. When they're on the street, they're not going to be able to.
Because without an address, you can't. It's very difficult to get a job. If you don't, to get any type of identification that you're going to need ID. Having a real address. And not a box that you can say, I'm at 255 Fifth Avenue.
What's going on?
Apartment number, gives you a street address, but it's not. It's only the mailbox. It's not going to help you.
Let me correct some stuff here.
Because it also, in my opinion, is served your time as long as.
No, I don't.
There becomes an issue with bonding somebody who's been if their crime is in like embezzlement or rob, anything to do with stealing money, that becomes an issue. Have you thought about doing any kind of legislation that would sort of relax that bondability depending on the type of monetary crime that was done? Like if you've embezzled from your business or something, then getting bonded is kind of. But if it was like you robbed somebody, I think that's a different situation.
We did actually a bunch of legislation just this year on bond reform and making sure that because that you're imprisoning people for really petty stuff when you have a bond, they don't even have $50 to post bond, that they're being put in prison and they can't get out of because
Savage.
of that minor infraction. And
that's good.
And so we took care of that. We did a lot of bond reform in that respect to make sure that we're not punishing those people for being poor.
Click the
blog.
I always
go back to the Bill of Rights because I think it's the Sixth Amendment that argues against excessive bail. You can see that in a lot of situations with excessively high bail for poor people.
Welcome back to Politics Done Right. As you know, we're bringing the movers and shakers, all those
I believe it's the Sixth
that are making things happen today. Again, right now we're with Chris Savage,
I don't think that's
the owner, author, publisher, all that good stuff of
bond could be $20 if you're dirt poor and you have no money. So we definitely did a lot on that. And that already. So Colorado has been doing a lot of good work. We passed a lot of stuff. We banned the box for college applications. So you don't have to say if you committed felony and have that used against you.
I think that's great because that's another reason you have a recidivism rate, because if you cannot get a job, if you can't get a job, you can't get an apartment because you need that income to get the apartment. And it's just
it puts people in a cycle that they cannot get out of. And then the only thing they do, they end up on the street, they're desperate, and they just go back to the crime that they were involved in before.
Or they escalate the crime because they know by escalating they get a longer sentence and they don't have to worry about anything anymore. Because and perhaps a lot of reoffenders do that because it's the only way they can get housing. And by the time they finish that thing, they're too institutionalized to be able to function on the street.
Absolutely. We're trying to connect
on the
people to
outside.
things that they can either do to take action or support others.
So
that is important for us to do. Now,
it's a
I want to change
difficult
the subject a little bit and go back to your login.
concept for people to deal with.
I am still actively
Because there's a
writing,
difference
not as much as I
between,
used to.
shame and
I
guilt.
wish I had more time. I have a day job, so that, and then I've also become the
And
chair of the county
people
party
that
that I'm
go,
running party where
they've done something wrong, they pay their due, and that's really, it's the Department of Corrections. They go in there, they pay their debt to society. That's what they're supposed to do there. And when they come out, they shouldn't have to keep paying for it over and over again. And that's what really happens.
expanding our program beyond just getting
We need to make sure that we can get them back in society to be part of what they need to do.
Upon release, do felons get their voting rights restored to them?
We just fixed that too, yeah. So people on, it was, if you were still on probation, you weren't able to vote.
Yeah.
We lifted that. So people that are on probation, that are not incarcerated anymore, they can still vote. We don't have anything like Florida where they had
The
to.
poll tax,
Yeah.
which is illegal. I mean, you got to pay us so you can vote. It's poll tax. They know that 99% of the people don't have the money to pay the poll tax.
Yeah, we had never seen anything
Well,
like that.
we make it
So
very
our
easy
task
to
is
vote.
to build infrastructure.
We just passed a couple new laws to do automatic voter registration. So, you come to Colorado, you get a new driver's license, you're registered to vote. You don't have to check a box. You're automatically registered. If you have any kind of interaction with the government for any purpose at all, you're registered to vote. And we have mail-in ballots, so you get the mail-in ballot. You don't have to worry about waiting for Tuesday and voting on election day. You can do it, I think it's like 3 weeks before the election.
So how has that affected voter turnout?
We have great voter turnout. My particular district has always been very high because it's an older population that's educated. and we had over 70% turnout in the midterm. The off-year elections are always a little bit lower. The municipals always a little bit lower. But still, with the mail-in ballot, people are more likely to actually get it, fill it in, and send it back. We also have same-day registration, so you can register the same day you vote. And we expanded the number of drop-off locations in the counties, so that way people don't have to drive all over the place to drop the ballots. We did a lot. We probably are one of the leaders in voting, really trying to get people to vote in Colorado in a lot of different ways.
You see Colorado and the legislation that you've been very active in producing and getting signed as a model for the rest of the country.
I should hope so, yeah. I think that people should look to us to what we're doing. Last year, we also did another thing on drawing new lines for after the census. We have a nonpartisan Democrat, Republican, affiliated panel of people that are going to do it, overseen by a judge. They're going to draw the lines very nonpartisan way. For all of the districts, the House, the Senate, and the congressional. So we're hoping that this really eliminates gerrymandering altogether, because everyone's going to be looking over each other's shoulders to make sure that nobody's getting any unfair advantage that the other side might want to get.
Or, more to that becoming a one-party state.
Right. And that's the toughest part of it. When I talk to a lot of people in other states, and they have a lot of these gerrymandered districts, and it's like because one party's been in control for so long, and they're afraid of losing that control.
Yeah.
And we're hoping that this, which was a ballot initiative that we put on the ballot, let the people decide.
Yeah.
How do you want to draw the people?
That's right.
Do you want it to be nonpartisan? And this is sort of an experiment. We're going to see how it works out. But we're hoping that this is a model for drawing the lines in the future and just giving these nonpartisan panels the ability. I think the hardest part is going to be choosing the people to be on these panels that do not have that special interest in mind. Because most people know who are real politicos that might have a little bit of a bias, but when we put the unaffiliated people in there too, that's kind of the other double check of both sides. Make sure the Republicans and the Democrats are not trying to play one side over the other.
Yeah, because, again, going back to, I am old enough to remember when it was all nonpartisan. When the districts were drawn as a nonpartisan thing.
All right.
So seeing what it has become and seeing what it can become again is very hopeful. And I'd like to say thank you for the unwavering service for the people of Colorado, not just your district, but for the entire state. And running as a progressive, the fact that you are representing everybody in your district, I think serves as a...
Have you been having a good time?
As a model for what it's supposed to be.
It's great, isn't
Not
it?
just, I'm only serving the people who voted for me. And I think it's awesome. To talk a bit more about some of the other legislation that you've done. Because I find it fascinating that Colorado's gotten so much done, and you've been at the helm of introducing a lot of that work and that legislation and that success for the entire citizenry of Colorado.
Two other bills that I worked on before I was elected were the ban against conversion therapy. And then we also had another bill that was to make it easier for transgender people to change their birth certificate.
Excellent, yeah.
The law before said that you have to have surgery to get your birth certificate changed. And that's none of anybody's business, first of all. It's expensive, some people can't afford it. And then you get an amended birth certificate, which, if you're a transgender person who transitions early, you don't want people to be outing you by showing them their birth certificate.
Yeah, especially when you have to get like a passport.
When you go to college, you got to take that out and show people. And, it's none of anybody's business. They shouldn't have to be involved in that. So we finally got those two bills passed. 4 or 5 years in a row of the Republicans killing those two bills, we finally got it passed because we took the Senate to get the majority, and we finally got it. Oddly enough, we had more Republicans in the Senate vote yes on those two bills than we did in the House. And it was always the Senate that never got the vote on it all this time because they would always send it to the Kill Committee so that bill would never get heard.
So you have to wonder what their agenda was in that, you know?
Well,
because there definitely was one, because you have to know that if they had to kill it, they knew it would pass.
They try to protect their members, I guess, is what they're saying. Because the people that voted yes probably just didn't want to vote yes, but they knew they had to because they have to satisfy the people in their district. And that's one of those votes that goes against maybe what they really believe.
But they're representing their district, so, you know, that's the idea. You don't vote your beliefs, you vote what the people you're representing believe.
There's a fine line.
So
Look, there's people in my district that want me to, ban abortion, and I'm like, no. I have a line that I'm not going to cross.
Exactly, yeah.
With certain issues, and I don't care.
Because it's none of their business.
Yeah, I think that there should be a line between what government mandates people to do or not do, and it's really none of the healthcare choices that are none of anybody's business.
Exactly.
But, I vote to my district, and I vote my morals as well, and it's hard to balance that sometimes.
Yeah, because I can see that, coming from a background where life-saving is primary, that it can be a dilemma for you on something that you how do I balance what I believe as opposed to what is best for the people I represent.
Yeah. I really try to look at bills objectively and not, in a partisan way. I try to do what I believe is the right thing to do. And I think that, most people do agree with that. And I think that when it comes to issues like abortion, the people that are really against it are in the minority right now. And so I don't think that's even an issue anymore.
You're looking at that being that objectivity and being able to walk that fine line is a part of the success you have had in, number one, being elected, and number two, getting the legislation that you have introduced to grant or co-sponsored getting signed.
Absolutely. And I'm already working on some new stuff for next year. And one of my big things that I'm really trying to do is focus on the rampant suicide rate in Colorado.
How you doing, man?
Suicide rate among
come and give me an interview?
going up.
Sure, I can come for a couple of minutes and I'm
Kids as young
I have
as
an appointment.
9
I think next door to
committing
me.
suicide.
Okay,
And
real
it
quick,
just,
and
it tears me apart to think about a kid that young
Having that much despair
that
and
would want to
depression.
even go that way.
I spoke.
It's
So how you
so
doing?
sad, and there's something we have to do about it.
Right
And
downtown.
we don't have a lot of money in our
5-6
budget.
minutes and then I gotta.
Colorado has a very complex
this
tax
thing's
system,
going to be.
and that's a whole it's a conversation I can go on for like hours and hours about of how we have such a limited budget. But what I'm focusing on doing is expanding a mental health first aid program.
Yes.
And I'm holding a mental health first aid class in my district on the 24th of August. Free of charge to people who want to sign up. When I get it up there, it's limited to 50 people. And this is just part of what I just want to do for my community. I found a foundation, a family foundation that was willing to fit the bill for it, to work with an organization in my county to put this on. And what I'm doing is having a big stakeholder meeting with everybody in the state who wants to see us make progress on this. And I think that we can really make a difference in suicide prevention by getting it at the source. It's great to have a hotline.
But you have to be able to catch it, but you have to be able to recognize it early on. I'm certified mental health first aid.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and for those of you that are interested in getting certified outside of Colorado, It is
I wish. My economics would
MHFA.org.
look a lot different right
And
now.
you can just find your state,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can find the
that's
locality, you can get the certification. It's free. It's very important
What's new for Colorado
that you
Change?
do this
We
because
are
it allows
steadily
you
working to build power
to
towards
recognize
election,
the
and in the
symptoms of
process, we're working on a
depression
whole set of,
and
like,
how
really
to
key issues.
address those
One is the
symptoms,
whole
how
lot
to
of work
address
around
the
tech
person
accountability, the
in that state of
technology
mind
that have
properly,
so much
get them
potential
to
move us
open
into the
up
future,
and to help
also
them
have the
get
potential
the
to
help
move us
that they
into
need
a
before it
world where we
becomes
don't have this
hotline or hospitalization.
And
I
so,
hospitalize
we've been in
myself
an
for suicide a
ongoing
lot.
year, multiple year
So
long
I
fight
am
with
well
Facebook
aware
that we're starting to see some real
of
traction.
how well
But so many of the algorithms that undergird these systems, right?
So
allow
I think
you
that
to market jobs
you
just
do
to
call
white
it
people,
a
or
blessing.
market housing just to
Well,
white people.
I mean, we had
Send
another
predatory
school shooting
ads to certain
earlier this year, and people were
And so,
emailing me,
not just
calling,
that,
and
but
saying,
the
what we
ways that their
do, how do we
platforms
fix
used
this,
in
how
the
can we
last
stop
election
this?
cycle, all the
I mean,
sort of
it's hard.
ways in which they
It's
work
hard
with law
because
enforcement over the years
a lot of people want to immediately go to grab everybody's guns, and
But you have to address the root cause, and not
And
all of it
it's-
is quote unquote bullying.
exactly.
A lot of it has to do with maybe
that have such control and such reach over our lives. A
what's
lot of
going on
people
at
say to me,
home, and the
why don't we
lashing
just
out
tell
at
people
school
to
is
sign
the
on
only way.
Facebook?
It's like
But Facebook
lashing out at
has
school and killing your schoolmates is like you're killing your
2.3
parents by heart.
That's more followers
Because
than
that gets you more play than Christianity.
Exactly.
It's easier to be, Columbine than Menendez.
And still engage in so many different industries and so many different spaces.
So,
and so
what I'm trying to do with the bill is to work with
back to the days
state
of the
funds,
30s and
hopefully
the
some
20s
federal
where,
funds, and some philanthropy,
the robber barons
people
and
who want
the big
to
corporations
contribute
were able to
in
collude
different
and create these
foundations
types of
out there
monopolies
that
that
want to
control our
help
society.
address a
We
really
can't go
serious,
back to that time.
frankly, it's a
And
crisis.
so,
It is, and frankly, I think that mental health first aid could also be applied, could also be a positive tactic with that as well, because there are signs there are signs of somebody who's getting ready to lash out like that, and it's the same thing what's bugging you. Want to talk? Instead of these kids probably heard knock it off, you're just, go suck it up. That's not what they want to hear. They want to say, you want to talk what's bothering you. There's obviously something good.
Well, in part of my stakeholder work, someone was saying, we're trying to find out the target people to train primarily. We have a limited budget. Who are we going to train? Who are we going to offer this training to? Teachers, police, fire, EMS, and healthcare workers. And oddly enough, if you go into an emergency room and you have a broken arm or something like that, they ask you questions about your mental health. But some of those mental health people, the physical health people, do not ask you the questions in a proper way. And they gave me an example. The nurse would say, well, I got to ask these questions. I don't know why they make me ask these questions, but are you suicidal? And if you preface it with, I don't know why I have to ask these questions.
You're not going to answer it honestly.
Exactly. And someone's going to hide the fact that if somebody had a caring attitude, they might say yes, because a healthcare professional is someone that they should trust in that situation. They're trusting them with their health.
Yeah. And also in that situation when you're talking about trust, perhaps maybe some students should be trained as well.
Absolutely.
And because they're going to be the first ones to notice it. They're always the first ones to notice it. Because frankly, the teachers, they don't have the time to notice it. They're under enough pressure as it is. Same thing with, school people,
all the staff.
So there should be students that are certified that get this training as well.
And what we're planning on doing is actually doing like a trainer program, and that's where the money's going to go into to getting more people trained to actually do the classes. And we're going to work with the organizations in districts around the state and do it on a local level. We're not going to do this it's not going to be coming out of Denver to be teaching this stuff. The money's going to come out of Denver, and it's going to go to
a local organization,
to the local county place that's doing mental health for the community. Maybe to train people in the school districts that need it. School districts have their own people to train in the district.
And then the districts can train the teachers and students.
Exactly. And it comes from the local level.
They couldn't
we have a very
throw away their check
diverse
for us to
groups
go
of
away.
people in
And
Colorado.
our
You know, when you're in the front
ability
range,
to
you're in the
speak
city,
truth to power
you go outside
and
the city, there's a lot of different attitudes and a lot of different ways of thinking and doing things.
Yeah.
Rural communities are always saying it's not like it is in here in Denver. You have to understand what it's like out here. So when we get the people in those areas, teaching it to other people and being their neighbor's keeper,
Yeah.
that's when we bring the communities together. Because we're giving the tools to the community to help each other.
Because everything has to start at the local level.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, and you can't make any changes at anywhere. You have to start at the local to make your changes. Once the locality change makes a positive or negative change, then you can like go to the county, from the county to the state, from the state to the nation, and that's how it all grows. You know, and also with trans youth, having somebody that can recognize the symptoms of their despair.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
especially one of their peers, because they're more likely to want to talk to one of their peers about what is going on, you know, in their lives than a teacher.
Right.
Who just doesn't block. You know, then their life is ultimate safe. Because I read a lot about trans youth and the despairing issues that they go from. I don't say it's despairing what trans youth go through. Because it's even worse when I knew what it was like growing up for me and being growth because I developed early. And I can only extrapolate that to what a young trans teen is going through. It's, having it even worse than what will ever experience. And I just can't get behind that type of cruelty. And so so I just can't.
Yeah, it's very difficult, and the thing about the trans community is that we know it's a problem there, and we want to make sure that the parents can understand, and that's we're working on coming up with the best way to distribute this training to the people that we need it most. I mean, I would love it if we could train everybody in the whole state, but I know that's not realistic. So we're trying to do it in a way that we give it to the public-facing people that are communicating with people on a daily basis, different people, and that way they have the opportunity to make that observation and have that conversation with somebody. And it breaks my heart to know about this that suicide is high for any community at all. And we just need to do something to make sure that we help people and we keep them, thriving in the community where they live and not feel like that they have to end it. Colorado's a great place to live.
Yeah.
I mean,
or they feel they have to run away to a city in order to get accepted.
Yep.
Because that for the most doesn't end well.
Right. There's not a lot of places for kids to run away to. Anyway, we don't have enough places for them to go and enough space for them to go to either. And youth are very vulnerable. And then they get involved in a lot of other bad activities too.
And then that's the end of it for them. A lot of times, they either end up, trafficked or dead.
Yeah.
And that's even more heartbreaking. That if that is the only options they see. No matter what their mental health, no matter whether, what their experience being trans or not, it's not good.
I just interviewed her guy.
Like
Tell
I said, it's
Annabelle,
heartbreaking.
is she close by? Where is she?
On the floor.
Tell her come and see me. Tell her I want to
Treat
talk
our
to her.
children better.
I told her.
Absolutely.
I told her you were out here.
Yeah, and that's why the conversion therapy bill is important because parents are sending their kids to be brainwashed and belittled and
Emotionally and psychologically abused. Abused is what it is.
Because really, the parents can't accept the fact that their kid is gay, and that's not their life. And
I don't
have no business telling a kid that they should feel a different way. That's but we took care of that for minors, and hopefully we'll see some of that coming to a close now. But we got to look out for kids. Another bill that we actually passed was giving the ability of a kid who is as young as 12 the ability to see a therapist without their parents' permission. And that was very controversial for a lot of people because, you're taking away a parent's right. Well, if a parent has a problem and they're the problem with the kid, who are they going to go to? They're going to, they're being abused by their
They're not
parent.
going to talk about it to the therapist with the parent.
Exactly.
The parent's going to say, oh, it's fine.
Or have a note go back to the parent to tell them that they're getting therapy. I mean, we need the kid to be able to open up about the problem. And if they are able to, and they're able to find out what's bothering them, then we can get them help. But if they're holding it in because they're embarrassed,
well, that's where a lot of that rage comes in. There's no way for them to have catharsis, to release it in a manner that is not going to harm them or somebody else.
Exactly.
And and if you're ratting out your kid, it's not. There's another level of trust that has gone from that individual, from that human being.
Right. And for a kid who grows up in a house where a parent may not be LGBT friendly, and a kid decides, they realize that they feel like they may be gay, they're not going to be able to talk to their parents about it.
No.
They want to talk to somebody else. And they have to have that other person that they can confide in, because they may not have anybody else in their family that they can trust enough to tell them those very personal things that it's important for them to talk about.
Yeah. Even, you're not even going to talk to your friends about that because you can't trust them to keep their mouths shut. Because they're kids. Your friends are going to talk, just because, it's like, and if you tell them to keep it secret, it's going to be spread.
Yeah. No, the therapist is a safe place.
Yeah.
And that's what we really need kids to be able to go have that safe place to talk to somebody when they have no other place to go. And that helps save lives, too. That's an important place for people to not be in that suicidal place anymore.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely correct. No argument for me there. And on that note, I want to say thank you very much for joining me.
Well, thanks so much.
And this was an awesome. We did nearly an hour, Mark.
Really?
Yeah, we did 47. Yeah. It was a great conversation. Yeah, time flies when you're having an amazing discussion. So, I want to say, I'm like extremely honored that you sat down to talk to me, and because you are the face of what an actual progressive should be. Service-oriented, representing everybody in the district that voted for you or didn't vote for you. I mean, that's so important. And just the level of love and care that your heart has is like just amazing. And thank you very, very much, Brianna.
You're welcome. My pleasure. Thanks.
Again, this is Brianna Titone, representative from District 27 in Colorado. As I said, the premier transgender representative in all of America.
Well, fourth in the country, first in Colorado.
Still all of America. Premier, because you sat down and talked to him. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Who are you running for?
That was awesome. Thank you very, very much. The mics are off anyway, so.